It's an undescribable feeling, you know. It's like a surge of energy. It's like just taking off and just flying.
She's standing in the bathroom of the Beverly Hilton, and the water is still running. February 11th, 2012. In a few hours, Clive Davis will host his annual pre-Grammy party downstairs. Whitney Houston has been rehearsing. She's been trying to get clean. She's been saying she's ready for the comeback everyone keeps demanding. But here's what almost no one understood then, and what too many people still refuse to see now. Whitney Houston didn't die because her voice failed her. She died because the very thing that made her untouchable also made her unreachable. The gift that was supposed to save her became the cage she couldn't escape. And the worst part? She saw it coming for decades. This is not another story about talent wasted. This is the story of what happens when a woman is turned into a symbol so perfect, so holy, so commercially unstoppable that her actual humanity becomes an inconvenience. And when that woman tries to reclaim something real, love, danger, rebellion, pain, the same world that built her up makes sure she pays for it in public, over and over, until there's nothing left. Let's go back, not to the beginning, to the moment the trap was set. Newark, New Jersey, late 1970s. Whitney is a teenager singing backup for her mother, Cissy Houston, in nightclubs and church sessions. Cissy is a gospel legend. Dionne Warwick is Whitney's cousin. Aretha Franklin is practically family. This is not rags to riches. This is royalty raising an heir. And Whitney's voice, even then, is not just good, it's supernatural. When she opens her mouth, grown professionals stop and stare. Clive Davis will later say he knew within 30 seconds of hearing her that she would be the biggest star he ever signed. But here's the detail most people miss. Whitney was never allowed to want it for herself. From childhood, she was told what the voice was for: ministry, respectability, crossover excellence, making the family proud, making black excellence undeniable in white boardrooms. The voice was not hers to waste on rebellion or rough edges or anything that couldn't be monetized and celebrated on national television. It was a gift from God, and God, according to everyone around her, had a very specific plan. So she learned early: to be loved, you perform; to be safe, you succeed; to be worthy, you transcend. You do not complain, you do not resist. You smile, you sing, you become what they need you to be. And for a long time, it worked perfectly. Whitney's debut album drops. It becomes one of the best-selling debut albums by a female artist in history. She's 21 years old. The voice is flawless. The image is pristine. She's beautiful, polished, elegant, non-threatening, and utterly magnetic. White America falls in love. Black America is proud, but quietly uneasy. She's not quite us, some whisper. She's too perfect, too safe, too crossover. And Whitney feels it. She hears the whispers that she's not black enough, not street enough, not soul enough. She's called Whitey Houston by kids in her own neighborhood. At the same time, she's being managed, micromanaged, and controlled by Clive Davis and her family with militant precision. Every song is chosen from maximum radio appeal. Every interview is rehearsed. Every photograph is immaculate. She is not a person. She is a product. And the product is working. But here's what nobody wanted to admit. Whitney was never as soft as the image suggested. She had edges. She had desires. She had rage. She grew up around musicians who lived hard, loved hard, cursed, drank, and told the truth. She wanted to sing R&B that had grit. She wanted to make decisions. She wanted to be seen as something other than a porcelain doll with a holy voice. She just didn't know how to say it out loud. Not yet. Then she meets Bobby Brown. It's 1989. Bobby is the bad boy of New Edition turned solo star. He's reckless, sexual, uncontrolled, and unapologetic. He represents everything Whitney's team has spent years keeping her away from, and she is drawn to him like gravity. Not because she's naive, because he's real. He doesn't need her to be perfect. He doesn't care about the image. He sees her as a woman, not a symbol. And for someone who spent her entire adult life being worshipped but never known, that feeling is intoxicating. They start dating. The tabloids go insane. Her team is horrified. Clive Davis does not approve. But Whitney doesn't care. For the first time in her life, she's choosing something dangerous, something hers. And in 1992, despite every warning, every prediction of disaster, she marries him. Here's where the story gets twisted in the retelling. The popular narrative is simple. Bobby Brown destroyed Whitney Houston. He introduced her to drugs. He dragged her down. He was the villain, and she was the victim. And while there is truth in the damage he caused, that version of the story is also a lie. Because it erases her agency. It erases the years of pressure and performance and perfection that made Bobby feel like freedom. And it erases what Whitney said herself years later in that raw, devastating interview with Diane Sawyer. Nobody makes me do anything I don't want to do. She wasn't destroyed by Bobby Brown. She was destroyed by the impossible choice between being the icon everyone demanded and being the flawed, hungry, human woman she actually was. Bobby didn't create that split. He just made it visible.
Let's talk about what the drugs actually were, not as a scandal, as a strategy. Whitney didn't use cocaine because she was weak. She used it because it was the only thing that let her feel both invincible and invisible at the same time. On stage, she had to be flawless. In her marriage, she had to be present. In her family, she had to be the golden child. In the industry, she had to be the comeback, the legend, the voice of a generation. The pressure was astronomical, and cocaine, especially in the beginning, made all of that feel manageable. It gave her energy. It gave her confidence. It gave her the illusion of control. But here's the trap. The drug that makes you feel superhuman eventually makes you need it to feel normal. And by the mid-1990s, Whitney wasn't using to get high. She was using to get through, to perform, to endure, to survive the life that her gift had built for her. And the saddest part? She couldn't admit it. Not publicly, not even privately for a long time. Because admitting she was struggling meant admitting the image was a lie. And if the image was a lie, then what had all the sacrifice been for? The late 1990s and early 2000s are when the decline becomes public, and this is where the cruelty of fame reveals itself most clearly. Her voice starts to fray, not all at once, but enough that people notice. A missed note here, a canceled performance there. Interviews where she seems distant, defensive, or high. The tabloids begin to feast. Whitney's weight fluctuates, her skin looks different. Her eyes look tired. She's photographed looking unwell, and the photos are sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The world that once worshipped her now watches her unravel with sick fascination. In 2002, she sits down with Diane Sawyer for what becomes one of the most infamous celebrity interviews of all time. Diane asks about the drug use. Whitney is defensive, angry, raw. "First of all, let's get one thing straight," she says. "Crack is cheap. I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Let's get that straight, okay? We don't do crack. We don't do that. Crack is whack." The clip goes viral before viral is even a word. It becomes a meme, a punchline, a symbol of denial and delusion. But watch it again, and you'll see something else. A woman who is drowning and desperately trying to control the narrative. She's not lying because she's delusional. She's lying because the truth is too expensive. If she admits she's broken, she loses everything: her career, her family's respect, her identity as Whitney Houston. So she fights, but the fight is killing her. Bobby and Whitney's marriage becomes a public spectacle. The reality show Being Bobby Brown airs in 2005, and it is a disaster. It's meant to rehabilitate their image. Instead, it exposes the chaos. Whitney looks lost. Bobby looks reckless. Their daughter, Bobby Christina, is caught in the middle. The show is canceled after one season, but the damage is done. The world has now seen behind the curtain, and what they see is not a love story. It's a tragedy in real time. In 2007, Whitney finally files for divorce. She gets custody of Bobby Christina. She enters rehab. She says she's done with the drugs, done with the drama, done with Bobby. The media celebrates it as a victory. Whitney is taking her life back. She's reclaiming her voice. She's ready for the comeback. But here's what nobody asks. What is she coming back to? The same industry that turned her into a product? The same family that demanded perfection? The same audience that now knows she's human and will never let her forget it? She tries. She really does. In 2009, she releases I Look to You, her first album in 7 years. It debuts at #1. The reviews are kind. The voice is damaged, but still powerful. She goes on tour. Some nights are triumphant. Other nights are painful to watch. Videos surface of her struggling to hit notes that used to come effortlessly. The comments are vicious. She's finished. She should retire. It's sad to watch. But what they don't say is this. She is trying to sing her way out of a trap that singing created. Let's go back to the bathroom at the Beverly Hilton. February 11th, 2012. Whitney has been in Los Angeles for a few days. She's scheduled to attend Clive Davis's party that night. She's been seen out at clubs earlier in the week, looking thin, erratic. Friends are worried. Her family is worried. But she insists she's fine. She's always insisted she's fine. That afternoon, she's alone in her hotel suite. She draws a bath. She gets in, and at some point, whether from the mixture of cocaine, prescription drugs, and alcohol in her system, or from drowning, or from heart failure, she stops breathing. Her body is found face down in the water. She is 48 years old. Downstairs, Clive Davis makes the decision to go forward with the party. He announces her death from the stage. Some people are horrified. Others understand. The show always went on for Whitney. Even in death, the performance continues.
Here's what the autopsy reveals. Cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, Flexeril, Benadryl. Not a massive overdose, just a toxic combination. The official cause of death is drowning, with heart disease and cocaine use listed as contributing factors. In other words, her body finally gave out under years of damage she'd been managing in private. But here's the real cause of death, the one that doesn't fit on a coroner's report. Whitney Houston died because she was never allowed to be small. She was never allowed to fail quietly, recover privately, or be human without an audience. Every stumble was news. Every relapse was a betrayal of her gift. Every imperfect note was evidence that the icon was crumbling. She was worshipped, then consumed. And when there was nothing left to consume, she was mourned. But she was never, ever saved. 3 years later, in 2015, her daughter, Bobby Christina, is found unconscious in a bathtub in eerily similar circumstances. She dies 6 months later at age 22. The cycle completes itself. The same pressures, the same substances, the same impossible inheritance. And still, people ask, what happened to Whitney Houston? As if it's a mystery. As if the answer isn't written in every interview, every image, every demand placed on her from childhood. She was turned into a goddess and then punished for being mortal. Go back now to that bathroom, to the water still running, to the moment before everything stops. She is not a cautionary tale. She is not a tragedy of wasted talent. She is the inevitable outcome of a world that valued her voice more than her life, that loved her gift but resented her need, that built a pedestal so high the only way down was to fall. Whitney Houston didn't lose her battle with addiction. She lost her battle with a fame so total, so suffocating, so determined to keep her perfect, that being human became an act of rebellion she couldn't survive. The voice didn't save her. It never could. Because the voice was never hers. It belonged to everyone who needed her to be something she wasn't. And when she finally tried to take it back, it was already too late. That's what really happened to Whitney Houston.